If you've watched the news or been on social media over the last couple of days, you've probably seen that former Miami Dolphins head coach Brian Flores is suing the NFL along with a couple of NFL organizations for racist hiring practices. If you don't want your organization to be next, you should watch this video. In this video, I'm going to give you 3 things that you can learn from what the NFL did wrong to make sure your organization is more diverse and more equitable moving forward, and you avoid lawsuits like this. Hey, what's up everybody? This is Tony R. Sanders and you are watching The Happy Media. If you're new here, I want to let you know this channel is all about helping working professionals work happy so that you can live happy. And today's video is about exactly that. Like I said in the intro, Brian Flores is suing 2 NFL organizations as well as the NFL over racist hiring practices. Now, I must say, all of these things are alleged. That means I don't know if it's true or not. I wasn't there. This is just what happened according to Brian Flores. The NFL did put out this statement saying that they deny any of these things ever happened. So now that we got that out of the way, let's talk about what happened so we can talk about what you can learn. Now, to give a brief history, in 2003, the NFL implemented the Rooney Rule, which basically said that teams must interview a minority candidate when they have a job opening, especially at the head coaching position or the offensive defensive coordinator position. The goal of this rule was to get the NFL to be more diverse at not only the coaching level, but also at the general manager level, because at the time, that was just simply not the case. Fast forward to 2022, and we're still in a situation 19 years later where there's only 1 black head coach out of 32 teams. With that in consideration, it seems like the Rooney Rule isn't working, or is there something deeper or institutional that's happening? That brings us to this week, because Brian Flores filed a lawsuit that says he believes there's institutional racism happening at the NFL level, and he's deciding to do something to make change. In the 60-page document, Brian and his team highlighted stories and statistics that would show a pattern of institutional racism dating back to the 1920s. All that's the context for what we're going to talk about today, which is how they messed up and how you can learn. Now, over the last couple of years, we've seen the same thing from a lot of organizations. A lot of them say they want to create more diverse and equitable work environments for their people, but are they really getting the job done? Are there many other Brian Flores out there who are just afraid to speak up because they don't feel like they can actually impact change? If you don't want to be one of those people, I have 3 things that you can learn from this situation to ensure that your organization is more diverse and equitable. Number 1, acknowledge bias. I've had a lot of conversations with leaders and I talk to them about the diversity of their team, and they always say this: we just want to hire the best people. That's great, because I want them to hire the best person too. But I always ask them, the best based on what? We all have to acknowledge that we have biases. That bias can also lead to a situation where maybe you had blinders on to another pool of candidates that you didn't even consider for the job. There's explicit bias and implicit bias. Explicit bias means that you know you're biased and you're doing it intentionally. On the other hand, you have implicit bias, which means that there's a bias that you may not be aware of that's hindering your decision-making capability. So if you truly want to hire the best person possible, you need to acknowledge your bias and then start to put things and systems in place to ensure that your bias doesn't hinder you from hiring the best talent. Number 2, diversify your talent pool. Listen, you can't get diverse candidates if you continue to look in the same places. I tell people all the time, and it's an analogy that I love to use, you can't use the same bait in the same pond and expect to catch different fish. If you want diverse talent at your organization, you have to diversify your talent pool. The 3rd thing that I want you to learn, by the way, if you're learning something, hit that like button for me. Number 3, you have to strengthen your relationships with more diverse people and organizations. How many relationships do you have with, let's say, colleges that are HBCUs? How many relationships that you have with organizations in the community that work with more diverse people? I saw a article the other day that talked about the NFL having their first HBCU combine. They're looking for more diverse talent when it comes to playing on the field and giving some of these kids at HBCUs an opportunity. That's great, but what are we doing at the coaching level? Are we creating those spaces for more diverse people to have the opportunity to show you their skills? I want to make this very clear. It's not about telling people who to hire. I don't want to tell NFL coaches, organizations, general managers, hey, you have to hire that person because they're a minority. What it is about is giving everyone the equal opportunity to compete for a job so that the best of the best can have the opportunity. How can you know if you have the best if you haven't considered everyone yet? You need to do the same thing at your organization. Make sure you make the effort to establish the relationships, diversify your talent pool, acknowledge your biases to make sure that you have the absolute best talent possible at your organization. At the end of the day, it's a business decision. Listen, if you like this video, make sure you subscribe. We put out videos like this all the time where we help working professionals work happy so that you can live happy. And of course, working in a diverse and equitable place is the best way to do that. So if you like this video, I know you'll love the next one. Until next time, peace.